Do your hair a favor by checking in online and arriving just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV, fresh cut, massaging shampoo, and hot steam towel. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Glad you're with us on a Thursday morning. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests joined us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We're on ESPN News right now because Roger Federer is on the court at the Australian Open, up 2-0 and on serve in the third set. And once that match is over on ESPN2, we'll be back on the TV side on ESPN2. But glad you're with us on ESPN News or on ESPN Radio. Got a good slate of guests coming up.
Yeah, we do.
Tony Vaselli, Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist, will join us. Also does work with the Jacksonville Jaguars and talk about the ride this season has been on for him and the unusual path he had to take, his travel plans over
that's pretty cool.
The divisional weekend. We'll get into that. That was pretty crazy. Stu Gatz will join us from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz, which follows us on ESPN Radio at 8:05. 8:30, Adam Schefter, our ESPN NFL insider. And by the way, an NBA junkie.
Yes, he is.
And big-time NBA junkie will join us. We'll see if he can figure out why LeBron is saying this is the most challenging season of his career again. And then at 9:30, Mel Kiper Jr. will be here.
We're going to start talking about his mock draft 1.0 in about an hour or so. Keep your tweets coming at Golic and Wingo. We have a question out there right now. This topic's going to go on for a while.
It's going to carry us for a while.
Do you like the idea of college athletes being able to transfer and start right away, not have to sit that year? Right now, 64% yes, 13% no, 23% they'll need some rules. No doubt about that.
There's going to be rules.
I think it's going to be very easy for a lot of people answering this to say yes, because they're not going to have to deal with all the ramifications that go on. And there will be. I think right off the top, I'm for this, but there are definitely going to have to be some guidelines to this. So keep tweeting us at Golic and Wingo, at Wingos, at ESPN Golic. Why you like it or what you think the fly in the ointment will be. Because I think, my son said, I think he's right. There's going to be some unintended consequences about this or a lot of things to have to think about for this to work. So why you like it or what the fly in the ointment may be for this, and we'll read them throughout the show. This is something that's not going away, and this is going to be a significant change if this thing goes through.
Well, outside of paying players, this will be the most significant change ever in big-time college basketball or college football. Again, the premise is that a player can go somewhere without having to sit out, and you're right. The devil will be in the details.
Yeah.
But you know what? People will figure it out if this happens. Yeah. I mean, again, Matt Schick, who works with us and does a lot of college stuff and called the Belk Bowl with the Junior on ESPN Radio, it's not unmanageable. I mean, that's the thing. Will there be parameters in place? And I do like the idea that there has to be some sort of academic requirement. Like you can't be like failing in all your classes and then just go somewhere else. You have to earn it on the field and in the classroom. I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. But again, when a coach can leave whenever he wants with no ramifications whatsoever, why shouldn't a kid, when his circumstances change dramatically, why shouldn't he also be allowed to have that same luxury?
The one group of players this will not affect will be the college basketball one and dones.
Yes, exactly.
It will not affect them whatsoever.
So that's a great point, though. Yeah. I mean, that's basically the same thing, just going to a different college.
But it's also, again, the very, very low percentage. We see a lot of rules and a lot of things that are in place for the top players. This now would have to do with hundreds of thousands of players.
Yes.
Between basketball and football, having the ability to move. Again, I don't think it would be the wild, wild west with guys going crazy everywhere, but it's going to raise some eyebrows, and it's going to make coaches have gray hair a lot sooner than they want to have.
Well, they have all the control now.
They do.
They can do whatever they want, and they know the players can't.
That's exactly right.
And you know what? The best coaches will figure it out pretty quickly because that's what makes them the best coaches. All right, so again, hit us up on Golic and Wingo, what you think on that. Again, we'll be talking about this.
Yes, we will.
All throughout the morning, but let's get you going with what's trending, and we'll start in the NBA. Houston's Trevor Ariza and Gerald Green have been suspended 2 games apiece by the NBA for breaching the Clippers locker room Monday. Chris Paul and James Harden will not face discipline or fines because they were perceived to have peacemaking rules, Mike.
A lot of interviews went on with this from the league to see which direction they were going to go. You knew there was going to have to be some kind of discipline. You can't have players going into in the opponent's locker room. But there are some people that was surprised just 2 were fined. It'll cost them each a couple of game checks, and that it is the Paul and Hardens were the peacemakers. The Rockets were unhappy. None of the Clippers were disciplined for some of the things that went on the court, like the possible Blake Griffin elbowing of Houston's coach, but it doesn't seem like there's any video to document that, because if there was, you would think there would absolutely be a fine. And a lot of it seemed to the Rockets' angst seemed to be the chattering of Austin Rivers, who didn't play in the game, was in a suit on the sideline, but yapping away. Trevor Ariza called Austin Rivers, and Austin Rivers said they talked for about 30 minutes and hashed out a lot of their difference. And Rivers even said he was cool about being the bigger guy and calling me, saying that about Ariza. So, again, nothing happened. There were no fights. Nobody got hurt. As we see, some players are going to lose some money here and suspended, and we move on from this.
Yes, exactly. So moral of the story is use your words.
Yeah.
Use your words, not your fists or your anger. Use your words, and don't breach somebody else's locker room. Staying in the NBA, LeBron James and the Cavs are stuck in that 4-game losing streak that has extended Cleveland's record to 3-9 since December 19th, and LeBron conceded that his 15th season in the NBA has been harder than the ones that have preceded it. Quote, just from the simple fact of how many guys have been in and out, he calls it the most challenging season of his career. Yeah, the rotations, the players on the court, as he said, getting any kind of continuity, then throwing there a guy that you are going to count on heavily. And Isaiah Thomas is coming off major hip surgery, been out for 7 months and just starting to get acclimated to the Cavaliers and the way they do business. So while he says it's the most challenging it's been, there does seem to be some talk about will they make a move before the trade deadline. They have that Brooklyn's first-round pick if they want to use that, and that seems to be the headbutting maybe between players and management wanting to hang on to that thing. But like anything else with these guys, I think you just got to give them time. You give them time to heal up, see where they are when the playoffs start, get Isaiah Thomas the ability to get cohesive with this group. That's going to take some time. So I am certainly not pulling the plug on this team making it to the finals again. But at this point, I think there is still a major, major gap between Golden State and everybody else right now. It is. And we talked about the issue with Kawhi Leonard in the West, and the Spurs only played 9 games, and he's out indefinitely, which is the last thing you want to hear. By the way, Orlando is in Cleveland tonight, so we'll see if Cleveland can get it going. The other issue is, when do you play that chip, as you said, with that right. number 1 pick? Do you save it because you don't know what's going to happen after the season, if LeBron and others might be leaving, and then you have to rebuild and you can't make sure the cupboard is completely bare? Obviously, as a fan, you want to be all in to try and win a championship, but as an organization, you have to be somewhat smart and get reassurances before you feel about what you're going to play that card. And the Bulls' Chris Dunn dislocates teeth in fall, and that just sounds like the worst possible thing.
Horrible. Yeah. He fell face first on the floor late in Wednesday night's loss to the Warriors. He was cleared of concussion symptoms, going to be reevaluated Thursday, but just chipped his teeth and how do you dislocate? I mean, I guess are they just moved? I mean, is that knocked out? I mean, would you say you knocked out his teeth, or were they just rearranged in his mouth?
It's hard to watch when you see it.
It went up on a dunk and he just hung on the rim. He hung on the rim. When these guys hang on the rim and then they kind of the momentum kicks their feet up and he let go of the rim. And I mean, he literally
face planted. He
face first and immediately reached up into his mouth. So it looked awful. And from a concussion standpoint, thank God, he was cleared of concussion symptoms, but there's going to be some dental work there. That man with the teeth, man, that's just,
You were watching it again on TV, and suddenly you're like, holy mother.
He immediately reaches up to his front teeth, and I've never heard the term, I'm not going to lie, dislocated teeth.
Yeah, they in or out. That's what I want to know. I mean, a hockey player must be asking, "What? Seriously?" Because this happens at least once a game.
Yeah, they're picking their chiclets up off the ice.
When you get a puck in the vulcanized rubber coming in at 80 miles an hour.
Hold these, I'll be back.
Take these, I got to take a shift.
Hey, why do I have to always try and talk Canadian?
Because it is. There are a lot of Canadians.
Hold
That's
my
the way
teeth,
it is. Hockey players are the best, by the way. They are.
Question.
You ever been in a locker room after a playoff game? It looks like you're in a triage unit.
It is ridiculous. And I love how they, and I mean, could you imagine this in football on the injury, on the injury list?
Yeah.
What is it? Upper body.
Yeah, lower body contusion.
Lower body.
Yeah.
Upper. I mean, it would be ridiculous. I love how they do that in hockey.
Scotty Bowman was the best at that. I was working in St. Louis at the time, and the Blues and Red Wings were playing in a series, and I think it was Yzerman, and we all knew it was a knee, and Bowman said, he's got an upper body contusion. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but his knee is on his lower extremity. No, he's got an upper body contusion. In other words, don't hit his knee.
Yeah.
Basically is what they were saying.
Could you imagine this in football? And the best would be Bill Belichick again.
Oh, yeah.
Upper body contusion.
It's really not carried by anything.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're moving on. I'm talking about Jacksonville. Get out of it. But, seeing that injury.
Oh, that looked like it hurt.
I gotta tell the story real quickly. Brendan Shanahan was a player for the Blues, and the Blues were playing, I believe, the Winnipeg Jets at the time. And in the first period, Keith Tkachuk took his stick and basically performed unlicensed dentistry on him, cut his lip wide open, it split, flayed this way, and teeth come out. So he misses the entire second period getting stitched up. So, of course, he comes back in.
Of course he does.
Third period, scores the game-winning goal, and then with about a minute and a half to go, finds Keith Tkachuk and just starts wailing on him. I mean, bam, bam, nailing him. So now, he's come back into the game after he's been stitched up and the blood's flowing. Well, now he's got like a grapefruit on his lip.
Yeah.
So we're doing a post-game live shot with him for the 10 o'clock news, and he's over there talking, and I'm interviewing, and his answer's like, I mean, you couldn't even, people were calling the station saying, I'm disgusted, get him off the air.
Oh.
We had to cut the live shot early because people were like, he's bleeding all over my television.
Man, I have said
hockey players are on a different level.
I said the basketball players I think are the best athletes in the world. Hockey players are the toughest.
Not even close.
I mean,
especially when you play those playoff games back to back.
Just crazy.
The quest for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
To me, the Stanley Cup is the hardest championship to win in any sport. It really is, with what they have to go through sometimes on back-to-back nights and winning 16 games to get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News right now as Roger Federer has been broken in the third set, so they may be out there for a while. So we talked a lot about this, Mike, yesterday because Paul Pierce made an issue of it, whether or not it was right that Isaiah Thomas, when the Cavs come back on February 11th, was going to have a video tribute of him shown when it was Paul Pierce's night, when his jersey was going to be retired. And Paul Pierce took umbrage with this. In fact, took so much umbrage that Isaiah Thomas had to put something out on Twitter saying, look, don't show my video. I don't want to take away from Paul Pierce's day, which we thought, okay, how does a 3-minute tribute somewhere during the game have any effect on the huge ceremony that's going to take place with Paul Pierce? And apparently, we weren't the only ones who thought those two things could have gone on equally together. Well, last night during our NBA coverage on ESPN, Jalen Rose, sitting right next to Paul Pierce, weighed in.
Next, I gotta say a word for you, fam. I think it was petty.
Ooh. On who?
On Paul Pierce's part.
In what part?
I love Paul. This is my brother. Part? Because to me, there are going to be all type of announcements that happen in the 48 minutes during that game.
Okay.
All types.
Okay.
Including celebrating Isaiah Thomas could be one of them. Does not take away from your situation like Kobe's that happened during the game because they're doing yours post-game.
Right. But throughout the game, you're going to have different memories from the time I spent there. So now you take another 2 minutes from the memory.
You just said that, Jay.
And put that, and this is the thing. Like,
dude, they going to be playing trivia videos all night for him.
Can I tell you something about your birthday? It ain't only your birthday. A lot of people's birthday happen that time.
That's the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless from Jalen Rose.
The closing line there, your birthday, it's not just your birthday, it's others as well that celebrate it. I'm
Team Jalen here.
Again, usually those tribute videos, they show it right before the game when they're, or early on in the game, a tribute, a couple of minutes, and it's done. You still have the entire game to do all the memories. Okay, then we put that aside and we do all the memories and highlights of Paul Pierce. And then, as Jalen said, it's after the game they do the ceremony. I'm amazed this has turned into what it did. And I'll say it turned into what it did because of Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce talked about it. And
we love Paul. Let's be clear about that. He does great stuff for us.
It's not like or dislike. Yeah. It's about we analyze a situation. We give an opinion about a situation. And I think this one got ridiculous.
Yeah. And kudos to Jalen for saying, hey, I got to shoot. You got
to know somebody really well to say, I got to say you were petty on this one.
Their relationship has to be pretty good.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of it's not like or dislike, among the people that liked the link that went out there with Jalen using the word petty would be one Isaiah Thomas.
Oh,
he liked it. He liked it. Look, there's a lot of things you can get into here. One of the things that we talked about, and I understand that once this thing is in motion, there are certain things, but they could have picked one of 41 home games to retire Paul Pierce's jersey, right? They had they're going to have 41 opportunities.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, okay, it was February 11th. That's what I had said at the time. I said it's the last time he's Isaiah Thomas coming there outside of maybe the playoffs. So do it then, and you have any other. But I guess it would be like, oh, wait, now we're changing. Then it would be deemed as we're changing the night of the retiring the jersey for a video, a video tribute to a guy that'd been there. Steven Jackson said for a couple of years, they're giving everybody a video tribute. This one to me got childish.
Yeah.
And if you want to use the word petty, that's fine as well. I think it's crazy. I think either one could have said right away, whether Isaiah said right away, listen, I don't need it, just do your thing. Or, Paul Pierce could have said, yeah, if you're going to show his tribute video early on, when he comes back, that's cool. And the rest of the night is his. I can't believe, I'm amazed sometimes at some of the back and forth that goes on.
But kudos to Jalen. And by the way, kudos to Beetle. Michelle, her reaction. Woo! She was, it almost was like she wasn't expecting that to happen.
There was a couple of times when sometimes it would even be on the phone, but when someone was here, I would go at it with him, and Greeny would always say after the show how scared he actually got, like he thought something was going to happen.
Like someone's going to come through the phone and punch you?
He would wanted to kind of stay out, out of it, got worried. And, I don't know what, I doubt that. Obviously, that's not going to happen there, but when it starts to get a little contentious, that didn't really seem to go down that road. Like I said, I'm sure that's a good relationship there where you feel you could say that to somebody's face.
Yeah. Well, again, they worked it out. Hopefully.
They did.
Hopefully they worked it out. Meanwhile, as we continue here, we're just a couple of days away from Conference Championship Sunday, which I think is the best day of the entire football year. One team that thought they'd be playing there would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. They fell in the divisional round. They had a home game, and they were beaten for the second time this regular and postseason by the Jacksonville Jaguars. There have been ramifications already. Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator, announced after we got off the air yesterday that he would not be coming back. His contract was up, and it would not be renewed, even though they were the third best offense in the NFL and put up 42 points in the playoff loss to Jacksonville. Clearly, there must have been some other issues with Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator for that to be the case. But don't think that that's going to be the only issue. Here is our Bill Polian, our Hall of Famer, our NFL insider, and six-time NFL Executive of the Year, weighing in on what else might be going down in Pittsburgh.
There's a lot of talk, especially on the Internet, about Mike Tomlin underachieving. Mike Tomlin didn't underachieve. Haley didn't underachieve. The only part of that football team that underachieved was the defense. And that was missing Shazier for this last month of the season and this playoff run. So in that sense, this record and the way this season finished is understandable and somewhat puzzling in the sense that the offensive coordinator was responsible for the greatest offensive performance in Steeler playoff history is out the door. So it has to be personality driven or there's some other internal issue in the organization.
Yeah, look, statistically, the Steelers were very good on both offense and defense. We said third overall
scoring and offense,
and fifth overall on defense.
Yeah,
in the metric which the NFL uses is yards per game.
Well, in the last four of his last 6 years, he was in the top 10 in offense. Haley had that offense. So I completely agree. It was more driven than what you saw on the field because this was an offense that was putting up numbers and they were putting up yards and they were putting up points. So, but it right off the bat, we've talked about this when Haley first got to Pittsburgh. There seemed to be a personality clash with Ben.
He's a persnickety guy, for lack of a better term. He can rub people the wrong way. It's some of the things that happened to him when he was in Kansas City as the head coach, and we've heard stories about this in other places as well. But the bottom line, he was producing. There's no question about that.
Absolutely was producing. Good news, it looks like they're going to hang on to their offensive line coach and Mike Munchak, their O-line. They had 3 All-Pros this year, or Pro Bowlers on it this year. He turned down a second interview with the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think I've ever didn't see a reason why he did that. Don't know, but he pulled himself out of the running there. And I don't know if it was maybe did he think he might be in the running for the offensive coordinator position? I'm just, supposing something like that, but it looks like the quarterback coach is going to be the guy that's going to be in line for the offensive coordinator job. And it seems like there's not going to be any defensive changes on that staff. We know the injury to Shazier was certainly hurt that defense, and then this group of minority owners who, again, don't have any power in their say, but supposedly want to get to Art Rooney and say, we don't think this head coach should be there anymore. So you'll wonder if all the changes are going to be done on that staff.
Well, look, there's a lot of issues and there's some people that are taking subtle, not so subtle jabs at Mike Tomlin. First of all, he's not going anywhere. Just let's understand that. He's not going anywhere.
I agree.
We said this before yesterday. I'll say it again. Since 1969, Pope's 4, Steelers head coaches 3. They don't make changes willy-nilly. They don't do it. And I don't think they should. Since he got there in 2007, Mike Tomlin is 2nd in career wins, 5th in playoff wins, and the only coach who's made it to the Super Bowl more frequently than Mike Tomlin's Steelers, Bill Belichick. So I get it. You think that maybe they should have gotten there more? Well, that would mean they'd have to beat arguably the greatest coach and the greatest quarterback all time in their own conference, and that would be the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. So the metric that you're using doesn't add up to why he shouldn't be there, because he's had success. He's had more success than anybody but Bill Belichick. Yeah. Okay? And Bill Belichick is the gold standard of gold standards when it comes to the NFL and maybe all of coaching.
Everybody's chasing them, it's somewhat like everybody's chasing Golden State. Now,
yes.
I think there's more distance between Golden State and everybody else than New England and everybody else, but still, that's who, when the season starts, you're saying, okay, if we want to get to the Super Bowl, we probably are going to have to go through that team.
Yep.
Just like you say in basketball, if you're going to win the championship, or you want to get to the championship and you're in the West, you got to go through Golden State. And if you're in the East and you want to win it, you got to beat Golden State. That's the thought in the AFC for New England. So they've been close. I know the frustration. You could sense it because they've had so much talent there, and it just hasn't been realized to its fullest in some people's minds.
Because of that other team.
Right.
One last thing. Here's the list of head coaches who've won more playoff games than Mike Tomlin over the last 3 years. Bill Belichick. End of list.
It's a short list.
It's a very short list.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey guys, is it time to get your hair in the game? Time to claim your spot! Then it's time to check in online at sportclips.com/check-in for a fresh cut, legendary hot steam towel and massaging shampoo. Time to claim your spot! So do your hair a favor by checking in online and arrive just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV. Get in line online at sportclips.com/check-in. Time to claim your spot!
Some may only know this song as the end of The Sopranos' final episode, but it is a Journey classic, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you're with us on Golick and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News as Roger Federer's match continues to go on ESPN2, and when it is over, we will be there on ESPN2 on the TV side, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and we are delighted to go to that Shell Pennzoil Performance Line and be joined by, look, there are very few people that can say this, joined by the greatest player in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. He's a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year and does some work calling games for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the radio side. It's Tony Boselli, 2nd overall pick in 1995. Tony, thanks for being with us. This has got to be an electric time in the city of Jacksonville, really for the first time since you were a dominant player there.
Yeah, I mean, outside, it's the last time. That's how long it's been. Last time we went to the AFC Championship, heck, I was playing. That's a long time ago, and it is. It's a huge moment in Jacksonville for the fans, for the franchise, because as you guys know, you guys cover it as close as anybody. It's been 10 years since they made the playoffs, and it's not just 10 years of barely missing. I mean, it's 10 years of pretty bad football at times. So for them to go from 3 wins last year to being in the AFC Championship against the Patriots is pretty unreal.
Where do you – I mean, listen, there's a lot of credit to go around, but to me, this one I have to give a lot of it to the people putting this team together. Rarely do you see the move makers there make the right moves both in free agency and in the draft, and they have been hitting on all cylinders the last couple of years.
No, you're right. I mean, it's been a work in progress. And now they had brought in Tom back this year, and Coach Coughlin, as I still refer to him, just because I don't feel like dealing with his ire in the hallway, if I call him anything else, is a big part of it. I mean, just his presence, who he is for the organization. But it started before just this year. I mean, I think, you look at the draft picks and, give Dave Caldwell a lot of credit. They hit on a bunch of them, Miles Jack, Jalen Ramsey, Unique Ngakoue. I mean, those are 3 great starters on that defense. And then free agency, I mean, how often do we see teams overpay for guys that had great years but then just fizzle out? They have got 4 starters on defense that are free agents, and a couple of them are all pro bowlers. You got Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell, A.J. Boye, all fabulous players, some of the best at their position. And then Barry Church is a guy who's kind of gone under the radar, but he's back there quarterback in the secondary and getting everyone lined up. So they've done an outstanding job. It's and listen, it's not the biggest. Everyone asks, what's the biggest reason this team is good this year? They talk about, is it Tom? Is it Doug Marrone? Is it Dave Caldwell? All those guys deserve credit. But the bottom line is they have better players.
Yep.
And when you have better players, I mean, you win football games.
It is a shocking reality that sometimes is just overlooked. I mean, you're right. They've done a great job. Malik Jackson and Calais Campbell were monster hits. But the best thing about it is that the Jags have finally snapped that record, which is a record nobody wanted. They had drafted in the top 5 6 straight years in the first round, and that is not going to happen in 2018, which is a very good thing. But Tony, we talk about this all the time. As Tony Boselli is with us, Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist, outstanding offensive lineman during his playing days for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2 things have to happen if they're going to do what the Jacksonville players think they can do: beat New England in New England. They've got to get Tom Brady knocked off his spot, as Bill Polian said, and they've got to somehow contain Gronk. Now, they have athletes at the linebacker position, maybe more than anybody else, that may be able to run with him. How important do you think it is to make sure that Gronk is not the guy that beats you, especially on those third down when you convert to change situations?
Well, I think it's important, but I think you also can get caught up of saying, we have to stop Gronk. We got to stop Gronk. And you start game planning, you're doing all these things, and you end up doing, I don't want to say too much, but you get all out of sorts, and you change what you've done up to get to this point. And this is a young defense, so I think the one thing you don't want to do is start doing too many different things. And then you risk, mental errors and everything else, not getting lined up correctly. I think more importantly, Gronk is going to make plays. He just is. He's that good. I think the most important thing is you got to rush Brady inside out, because you're not going to pressure him from the defensive ends by themselves, because he's just going to step up. So I think it's Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, and Marcel Darius are probably the 3 most important players, because they're going to cover him on the back half, at least outside. And they'll have a good game plan because of the speed at linebacker for Gronk, and they'll do some things to make it difficult. But you got to go inside out on Brady, and you don't have to sack him. Everyone says, you got to get him on the ground. No, you just got to hit him. You got to annoy him. You got to get in his face. You got to get hands up. And that's how you get him out of his rhythm.
So then the other quarterback on the other side, the one that you say the name and people will either throw their hands up in the air or feel frustration for, is Blake Bortles. And I understand, being in a locker room, that you're always going to be behind your guy. But listen, he's had some good games. He had a good 3-game stretch, and he's had some poor games as well. The last 2 games was a hot and cold situation. Give us your take on Blake Bortles, especially going to Foxborough. How important and what he is going to need to do to be successful there.
First, big picture. I mean, I think Blake unfairly is criticized at a level I don't think we've seen in a long time for a quarterback. Obviously, it's going to be a scrutinized position, and part of that is because it was so bad last year. It was awful. And then he had a tough preseason, so people were, really questioning, what he was and what he could do. He's been better this year than anyone gives him credit for, and he's made a lot of really big plays. And Bullock, you would love him as a teammate. I mean, he is tough. He is physical. He never complains. He fights through it. He plays hurt. never points the fingers, puts it all on his shoulders. And then even when it's not going well, everyone talks about how bad it was in that Buffalo game, and it was. But they couldn't throw it. It was a very conservative game plan, too conservative in my opinion. And when they needed plays to be made, it was Blake that made them. It wasn't like Leonard Fournette was going off. It wasn't like the offensive line was doing great. No one else was doing anything either. They were dropping passes. It was Blake Bortles who made plays with his legs. So I think is he a top 10 quarterback? No. But is he a quarterback that's getting better? Is he going to make some plays for you? And the one thing I guarantee, the moment will not be too big for him in Foxborough. The kid is mentally tough. And so I don't worry about that at all. And I think the most important thing they do offensively is Nathaniel Hackett has to do what he did in Pittsburgh. And that's come out really aggressive. When Blake throws on early downs and he gets in a rhythm, he is a different quarterback. And I think that's probably the most important thing they need to do on offense. From play one, throw on early downs, be aggressive, do not play scared. And if they do that with this defense, they got a great chance to win this football game.
Well, you're right. As we're talking to Tony Boselli, Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist, longtime offensive lineman for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he made the throws he had to make against Pittsburgh, including that one down the middle of the field inside the 5-yard line that set up Fournette's last touchdown, which we thought was going to be the icer until everybody kept scoring in that contest. But you're right. He made 3 or 4 throws in that game. And if he does that on a Sunday, he could join the list that is 2 of Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco. Playoff quarterbacks to win a game in Foxborough against Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots. Tony, before we let you go, I have to ask you about your journey over Wild Card Weekend. You and Ross Tucker had the entire Pennsylvania experience, right? You started Saturday working the Eagles game, and you went across the state together to get to Pittsburgh for the Sunday game. Take us through how you guys decided to do that together, and you guys sort of chronicled it along the way on Twitter.
Yeah, we both worked for Westwood One, and I was in the booth for the Eagles Falcons game, and he was on the sidelines, and I had to find a way to get to Pittsburgh to do the Jags game, and Westwood One assigned him to do Pittsburgh in the booth, and he's a Pennsylvania guy, and he said, "Hitch a ride with me." So we had an offensive line journey across the state, eating, drinking coffee, and talking about offensive line play that probably would have made Gold go crazy, bored a lot of people, but was nirvana for us. I mean, it doesn't get any better. We had a great time. Ross, if you know Ross, man, he's in the perfect profession. He's a great talker, great storyteller. So we were dissecting offensive line play, and it was a good time.
Tony, what kind of car?
He has a big SUV, so it was perfect. Okay. It was an offensive lineman car. I mean, you kidding me? It wasn't like we were in a little Hyundai or something like that. I mean, there's plenty of room and space and everything else.
And luckily you guys weren't at your playing weight either to have to be in that car as
Although
well.
I'm sure you had a few meal stops. Or you had a few meal stops along the way.
Well, we're better than that. We brought food with us. I mean, come on. We're not rookies at this. I mean, we're going to have food in the car, snacks, constant eating, and most importantly, any road trip you have to have a bunch of coffee. So it was a good time.
Completely agree. Yeah.
You celebrated the entire Pennsylvania experience, east side to west side, in one weekend. Hey, Tony, we appreciate it. Thanks for being with us. We'll see what happens with the Jags Sunday, and hey, we'll see what happens with you. We hope to hear your name called Saturday before the Super Bowl. To be in the Hall of Fame as you rightfully deserve to be.
As I found out in talking to you out there, I hope you get that knock on the door.
Yeah.
I do too, and I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you guys out in Minneapolis.
Definitely will. Thanks,
Tony Boselli with us.
I again found out because I saw him. He was in the hotel I was in last year. We talked for a while in the hallway, and then it got to the talk of him. He was a finalist last year for the Hall of Fame, and I said, well, so what's the deal? And he basically told me how at a certain point of the day they have to be in their room for like an hour, and you wait.
Yeah.
And you either get a knock on the door that says you're in or you don't.
Yeah.
And then you're out. I mean, it's amazing the process that goes on there. But he's a guy, real quick, I finished playing and I was retired in 94. Came in the league, and one of the reasons it was good I did, he came.
95 was
Larry Allen came into the league in 94. Tony Boselli came into the league in 95.
Yeah.
Two guys that were all decades in the 90s, linemen. What a pair there.
Well, it's like Ryan Clark. As soon as he saw Gronk, he's like, it's time to retire. I got to tackle that. No way, no chance, no how. Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today.
Never gets old. Never gets old.
I hate when he turns my mic off there. Getting that one.
All right. Bad. You ready for this one?
Yes.
This story involves fast food.
Yes, it does.
And Shaquille O'Neal. Sort of.
And it does.
And Matt Barnes.
And Matt Barnes.
Would you like to explain?
Yeah, Matt Barnes.
This is one of my favorites.
Former NBA forward. Very loyal to his friends, and one of them would be Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal's son, Sharif, who is, Brett, you said the 24th ranked player in the senior class, 24th ranked player in the senior class. The McDonald's All-American roster come out for the high school McDonald's All-American game.
Always a fun situation.
And there's 12 in the East, 12 on the West players, so 24 total.
And Shaq's son is committed to Arizona.
And Sharif did not make the roster. He is not playing in the McDonald's All-American game.
And this has somebody very upset.
Matt Barnes is so upset, he said he is boycotting going to McDonald's and taking his twin sons to McDonald's anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's done with McDonald's because it's a McDonald's All-American game. Sharif O'Neal.
This is his line in the sand.
Shaq's son did not make the All-American game. Again, he's a 24th ranked prospect coming out this year. So Matt Barnes has. He's drawn a line in the sand and said, no more Chicken McNuggets. Now, I don't know if that's what he gets there, but he's basically saying...
Well, he said that's what was on his post. He said, I will no longer allow my twins to eat your 6-piece chicken nugget Happy Meals. I hope you're happy. I know the twins won't be when I tell them no more nuggets. SMFH. Hashtag no more nuggets.
There you go. So, in essence, he's punishing...
very angry.
In essence, Matt Barnes is punishing his own kids.
For something that happened to Shaq's kid.
Shaq's kid.
So Shaq's kid is the reason that his kids are being punished.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
So, I mean, I'm sure the kids, I don't know how old they are, but like, Dad, why don't you make a point some other way, okay?
Yeah.
Why are you dragging us into this? We like our McNuggets.
How about you don't eat don't eat a McDonald's if it's upsetting to you? Because we like the nuggets.
The hell did we do?
We are big with the nuggets. And the interesting thing is, it's not like they played together forever.
Yeah.
He played one season with Shaq, 08-09, for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
And that has been enough, apparently. That has been enough.
Yeah, he wasn't the highest. Again, Sharif O'Neal, 24th in his class. He wasn't the highest rated player left out of the game. Number 19, 20, and 22 are not in the game either. Again, the game is set. The one player, and I saw him, they had his game on ESPN the other day, the kid, Zion Williamson, I think he's a number 2 ranked player. 6'6", 270. Dude is unbelievable.
Somewhere there's a tight end coach showing, how did I miss him?
Oh, my gosh.
How did I miss him?
You want to talk about the ultimate one and done. Seeing this kid's already, I mean, it'll even get refined more, but the size to go into the NBA after his year. And he's undecided still. I think he's going to pick soon. Real quick on that game, on the East squad. Congrats to Northwest Catholic, where my sons and daughter went to school. Mm-hmm. John Marabella, their basketball coach, is one of the coaches for that game. So very cool for him. Congrats.
Good for him. All right, coming up, we've got Mel Kiper Jr.'s first mock draft about to be unveiled. Plus, we'll have Stu Gatz and Adam Schefter join us, and we'll continue to get your tweets on the idea that college players may be able to transfer. All ahead on Golic and Wingo. Stay with us.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.